Everyone, welcome back to Play Casket with another episode of Your Turn. And we might sound a little off, so we're just recovering from the plague. It was pretty gross. It was awful. We're gonna keep things classy, for as much as a mausoleum full of dead people can be classy. But
Black Plague was worse, so it wasn't so bad.
There might be some clearings of throats and stuff here, so bear with us. We're gonna be being pretty gross, but we're not as gross as Ubisoft. We're just gonna hop right in that. Ubisoft has said some nasty things this last couple of weeks, dude.
You will own nothing, and you will be happy.
Ubisoft, basically, the excerpt was taken out of context, but the context wasn't all that better. But the out of context one was basically saying that gamers are gonna have to get used to their games not being owned, because it's a whole digital thing. You don't own your digital, so people saying, "Oh yeah, I have that on Netflix," you should stop saying that. You don't actually have crap. But basically everyone and their grandmother just hopped on board and just slammed the crap. Dude, even I slammed the crap out of him. I was like, you don't want to know what happens after you go past that threshold.
Well, I think the funniest thing is that I think the funniest shit is that they think they have enough quality games that they could be something where it's like, oh well, you're gonna want to buy our games, you're gonna want to buy our license.
Every time Ubisoft makes a good game, because I'm hearing a lot of positive feedback on Prince of Persia, like a lot of feedback, which is great. Congratulations to Ubisoft for making a game. It's every single time they do this. They like when they release the first Watch Dogs, they'll always open their mouth and say some of the most stupidest crap that makes you just hate the gaming industry as a whole. Because what was it? It was like something about the fact that Ubisoft faked their Watch Dogs E3 stuff, and then when it got released,
it wasn't Watch. It was that shooting game. Crap. It was one of the Tom Clancy ones.
Oh, okay. But so it was like they faked that stuff, and they're like, well, the only thing that really holds us back is the expectations of like the gamers or something like that. It was like really stupid.
What?
I was like, that was such an EA move. Just blame it's your fault that it sucks. Like, how the fuck? We're the ones buying your crap. Like, stop that crap. Don't do that.
The Division. There we go. The Division.
Yeah.
Even now, I think now it's like all patched out and done. But it's like you kind of ruined your first impression. Not to mention that you lied about the experience, but even then, it's like most of their games are just kind of okay. Like if you play one, you played them all basically.
The only thing that's propping up Ubisoft right now is Just Dance and Assassin's Creed, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's be all real here. They don't even want to port Rayman, dude. Literally porting Rayman 64 or Rayman 2 in general, just porting it, just up-resing it, making it for HD. They can make a lot of money with little effort put into it. Just make sure it functions and it runs the way it used to. Put it on all systems. They can make money, but they're like stupid. I don't get it.
But even then, though, like, is there anything coming out? Like, is there anything in the future that you're willing to pay for them to have subscription base? Because even if you have like Far Cry 5, The Division, and Just Dance 6, do you really want to pay a subscription to get the next ones?
Well, even then, like, do you really think Ubisoft will allow you to just pay a subscription to have those games? Like, honestly, I think knowing Ubisoft and Ubisoft's patterns, I wouldn't be surprised that they would have a subscription for you to play your game, but also you have to pay money to have access to the game. So they're basically going to be like, well, yeah, it's $60 or $70 because you have to have a license to play it, and then our services tell you that you can have access to play it.
So you're paying for your game?
Yeah, so basically there's and that's the one thing I've always, like, that's why I think digital is evil. Not fundamentally, like, digital in of itself is not evil, but like the attributions, that's a weird word. I'm gonna the things that digital attributes to, right? Leads to us not having as much in our physical realm for the lack of ease. But in doing so, we have to rely on other things to provide that access.
Yeah, you're at their mercy.
So it's like saying, oh, I have all these books, but I keep it in my neighbor's house. But what if your neighbor moves? What if your neighbor's house catches fire? What if your neighbor decides to just not let you in anymore because you decided to vote the wrong way? Like, there's so many things that can happen that immediately your agreement with the person or a company is forfeit.
Oh yeah, which also reminds me about Rainbow Six. They said they listen in on your chats because they called the cops on, I think, one guy in the UK. Of course, it's the UK, but oh, we're just trying to be helpful. Yeah,
dude. The like, even in the UK, if you like hamburgers too much, you could probably get arrested. Let's be real here. Like, they're like, wait, you don't like gravy on your French fries? Arrest that man. Like, that's exactly how that works. Guess what? In 1775, we told you that our opinions are better, and we proved it. So there's that. But yeah, like when you start doing that crap with digital, like, you have to rely on outside sources, because in a way, the moment you can't have access to something, it's done. Like, even if you have an isolated PC, right? If a company finds a way to block you from having power, which we've seen companies do this on other topics and stuff. You know, they could just cut your power because, oh yeah, you said some weird stuff on Facebook. Blech. You know, like, that's messed up, right? If they can do that and be like, excuse me, this group of people over here had access to games that we don't want because this is now cloud-based systems and all that, and we wish to shut him down because we found reports that he has our games and he's not playing them on cloud the way we want him to. They could probably get leverage for that, especially with companies like Microsoft, who's a multi-billion-dollar company, who can just probably fling money like that like it's nothing, and people will just nod their heads and say yes sir, and you get no access to your digital game, you know. Whereas if you can have batteries and stuff and you have generators, you can probably still run it, but a period of time it's just gonna run out, you know. Like, that's where digital is. Like, a lot of digital, you have to rely on everything outside your realm for you to have it, you know. Like, if you have a book on your bookcase in your home, you can access that book at any given time. If you have it at your neighbor's, you can only access it in a certain amount of times. You can't go in there at 2 a.m. if he's sleeping. You know what I mean? Like, that's the same thing with, you can't access your games if, say, Steam's going on some kind of emergency maintenance.
You know, I'm starting to think that, like, if they're going towards this and they're going to do a subscription-based model, is it just going to be fully cloud, or is it like Game Pass?
Oh shit! So Game Pass, there's been mention before. There's been people who've been hacking and poking around the Game Pass for a while, that they were able to predict that Microsoft wanted to put that on cloud, and Microsoft has gone, like, months later, has gone on record that said that's one of their main goals, is to have Game Pass on cloud, so you could, quote unquote, have access to hundreds and hundreds of games without ever having to download one. And that's a scary decision to make, right? And some people are like, oh no, that's great, because now I could just have access to all my games. Back up, not your games.
Not your save files.
That's it. And oh no, it gets better, because they've been poking around ever since then, and they've seen code and notes and stuff that suggest that Game Pass might even have a premium tier. Because something tells me that Game Pass isn't making as much money as they were anticipating. So that means that there isn't that many people buying into Game Pass as much as people like to have us think, right? So if they're making a premium tier, that suggests, and they're suggesting that the games will still be widely available. But when everything's digital, everything's not yours, fundamentally. That means this premium pass, from what they gathered, and they're predicting that they could be wrong, that this premium tier allows you to have access to save files. So for instance, if you play your game and you save it and then you go off and do something else and you come back, you have to start from all over unless you have your premium pass, and then you could download your progress. That is very telling of what type of system that these people are looking at. You know, not just Microsoft. If Microsoft's thinking about it, you know, a lot of other companies are thinking about it too. Because if they think that games can be micromanaged and piecemealed to you in bits and pieces, and then you have to be thankful for that, imagine what they're going to go, oh yeah, that content you've already created with your save file, that's also ours. What's going to happen? Like, how far will that be willing? What if we start doing like gameplay stuff for videos? Will that belong to them too, and we need a premium pass to have access to our stuff to upload to make our videos, or even have the ability to have our videos online? Like, where will this actually end? I mean, that's where I think a lot of these attributes that digital offers is not a good trade-off, because we are literally at the mercy of whatever the companies decide we genuinely have access to.
Yeah.
You know, like, there is companies out there that was just trying to sell PNGs through NFTs. You know, like, let's be honest. They're like, oh yeah, our art, you can't right-click save anymore. You have to buy it. Like, that's how far they've already gone before. What makes you think they won't charge you for your own save file?
Yeah.
You know, like, that's going to be messed up. And that was the type of stuff that happened with music. And like, people don't see that because a lot of people didn't really pay much attention, because they all thought the awakening of how easy it was to have quote-unquote all your music online and just stream to you, they didn't see all the other problems. Like, oh, they don't have Limp Bizkit's song here, or they don't have Kid Rock's song here, or they don't have Tom McDonald's song here. Oh well, at least I have all of these. I'm still fine. That became a problem because that list kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And then there was people out there who liked like progressive rock and like this hair metal, heavy metal stuff like Altiveria and stuff. And they're like, yeah, they're too small. We're not having you on this. And I'm like, why? Well, you're just too small. Like, Pandora and Hulu and all that eventually became the gatekeepers of what is considered music.
Yeah, it's gone full circle with like...
Yeah, it went from... Like, music literally went from producers like Virgin Music and Sony and stuff like that got to dictate what's music and what should be on CDs and what should be on albums and all that. And we went to freedom, and then immediately back into this thing through streaming, where all these companies like Pandora and Shazam and all these people would be like, we get to decide what your music is. And because of that, people started going back to CDs, but some CDs were so put away and like they aged because they just we can just stock it in the back corner and stuff, and they completely forgot that electronic media has to have a certain environment for it to still retain. A lot of people started noticing that CDs like rotting, and then like they crack on the inside and stuff, so they became unreadable. And that progression and that aggressive like trying to get back to physical media went so overboard, it went to vinyl. Like, imagine how bad you have to mess up your industry that you literally go, we're going to backtrack not just one type of media, but whole media eras back to vinyl. We went from MP3s to CDs way back to vinyl. Like, that's messed up. Like, that's how bad music got it. And if we're watching people like Ubisoft as saying, get used to it, you already know that they're going to do other things that we're going to have to get used to. Like, imagine Ubisoft going to be like, oh yeah, we own your save files too, and go in your like PC or order Steam in your PC to remove your files. Like, how messed up is that going to be? But that's not even far from like unbelievable, because they've already tried to pull that crap before, you know?
Well, we're going to be saving a lot of money then.
Right? If purchasing isn't owning, piracy isn't theft. Yar. But like, literally, like, that's the type of thing that just blows my mind, because honestly, like, a lot of people go, oh, if they go digital, I'm just over gaming. I'm like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Because eventually, like, there's already people trying to find ways to make wood turning digital and stuff, like weird crafts. Just do it digitally now.
What?
Yeah, there's like several crafting things people want to do. There's like model cars that are digital now and stuff too. Like, you just do digital stuff on the app instead. I'm like, that's not going to be the same experience. But you're like, all these people are going to do this thinking, oh, we could just sell apps at like $5 a pop, and you just download these things. I'm like, that's stupid. That's beyond stupid. You know, like what's going to happen after a while when you can't make money? Like that's all of this is just dumb because all the other people can just copy your code and just go into it and do that as well. You know, like this is the whole digital era. We're like, oh, we don't have to own anything and have access to everything, but then I can just live in my giant empty house. You know, like hell, even physical media is being considered for subscriptions. Jeep and I think it was Honda wants like subscriptions to your car that you own.
No, it was BMW.
BMW.
Thankfully, they're backtracking now because like it was I think they wanted like you pay for the car and then if you want heated seats or if you want what is it? Because I think it was there's a certain sound the engine makes too, and they could tune for that. They could make you pay for that too. So
they purposely make your engine louder so they can make
sound a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But heated seats was one, and then the funniest part was that even when people did pay, the shit didn't work. So it's like,
and what's gonna happen? What's gonna
worse.
happen if you're out driving, right? If you're going on a road trip and you can't connect,
Yeah.
well, your car's gonna sound like a weird subway straw on a bike poke. So,
Yeah.
good luck with that.
Yeah.
You know, you're just gonna sit there quiet because you can't get music, and all you hear is, and you think your car's dying. Like, no, that's just what BMW does when we don't pay the actual money for this and this. But since we can't connect, this is what we have now. Like, that's stupid.
But yeah, they got kicked in the face for that, so they're rolling it back. Like, good. And
Yeah, and that's my thing. It's like, how far are people willing to go to do this? Because this is all World Economic Forum nonsense. Honestly.
Cameras too. Don't trust cameras.
Like, just genuinely, this is all bad. Like, this is all WEF all over it. Like, there's ESG. It smells like ESG all up in here. Like, it's gross. But yeah. But there is lighter side though. Since I'm gonna be done ranting about Ubisoft and digital being bad. This is a common thing. We'll continue this in another your turn. But there is good things in video games. Pardon me. See what I said about that? Several developers, about 8% of developers that were polled recently. Now that doesn't mean many people were polled, but that does mean something. That several of them are developing for the successor of the Switch or Switch 2.
What's coming out?
Not necessarily, because the way they phrase it, like I think it's literally a twisting of words, right? Now, what this tells me, like let's take a step back. What this tells me is people already are aware that the Switch 2 is coming in some form. Like they know something's coming.
Yeah.
Like when you're a major developer, you're gonna know, right? And from there, you can prepare for it, whether or not you have a kid or not. Otherwise, you know, it is what it is. Pardon me. From that point, that tells us that there's a lot of people being prepared for the Switch 2. But I don't think that people like are talking to Nintendo about it much. Maybe some heads are going, okay, yes, the Switch 2 is coming, fundamentally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's make games that are being very appreciative of the new system. We're gonna make games being ready to be ported to that system, or there may even be developing games right now for the launch of that system. But we don't know all the details for it. It just says that they're working on stuff such as, for instance, like the Unreal Engine 5, right? That means that they're working on something that's already ready to be ported over to the system using such an engine, because the engine's already teamed up with Nintendo anyway, so we already know that Nintendo's new system's going to run Unreal Engine 5. There's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that people are getting ready for that. In fact, when you think about it, it would make sense. The Switch is over 7 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Smite just released the Smite, the MMO, the MOBA, whatever, announced a sequel, Smite 2. Exciting. In fact, I wish I could talk more about it because they did all the things that Overwatch should have done. They're keeping Smite 1 around. They're not porting all the characters over at once because there's over 120 characters on the one game. And they're slowly going to move them over to the new system, but they're all going to be, it's still going to be a parallel developed with Smite 1. But Smite 1's development's going to slowly decrease until it just becomes a skeleton crew of just maintenance on it. But the skins will not be ported over just like Overwatch 2 was. That they just said that it's just going to take too much time and all that, right? When they were interviewed about porting the game to the Switch, they said that they're not prepared to make that investment because they're concerned about the power prowess of the old system. Old system suggests that they're kind of familiar that the new system might be around the corner, which would make sense for a company that does a live service game developing something for a 7-year-old game, unless they know that it's going to be around for a while, is worth nothing. Honestly, why would you put that much effort into it, only for it to be abandoned for the next console? And then everyone's like, "Are you going to port it over? Are you going to port it over?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, good example of that. So that tells me that people are aware that Nintendo has something going on. There's whispers in the industry that there's something going on.
Just give me 8-hour battery life. That's all I want. Just give me battery life.
I love the weird game journalists. They're not human. Their leaks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they're always like the most vaguest but like grandiose claims and stuff. Oh, it's just an iteration, not a revolution. I'm like, what the fuck? Every time they pull that crap off, too. Oh, yeah, Mario Kart, it didn't revolutionize the games. It didn't even revolutionize the gaming industry. It was just funner than the last one. That's exactly what people want. Like, every single time they have, like, this weird issue that's just, like, they're not trying to do something. But then when Last of Us has some kind of dude humping an ogre, and it's like, this is so revolutionary and mind-blowingly, it's shattering gaming as a universe.
It's because they didn't get paid for it. That's why.
Like
they
that's
just got a free copy, and that's
like,
it.
Ew, like he's humping Donkey Kong, and you're like, yeah, this is good. You're like, no. You sex freaks need to mellow the hell out, like for real. Like take a Valium or something. But yeah, like it just tells me there's a lot going on in the background.
Okay.
What do you think is going on with that? Like, what are you seeing in that?
I don't know. A console's a console. Like, I just want more battery life. That's all I ask, because it's gonna be 2 to 3 hours. It's gonna be 4 hours on like a low-powered game.
You know what people said? They said if they were playing it smart and they're making a Switch 2, that they should appeal to the power that's comparable to the Steam Deck, not to the PS5 or try to surpass the PS5, because there's a lot of people like they need to surpass the PS5 because they're just so old and all this. No, they don't. They don't, because nobody's even using the full power of the PS4. What makes you think that people are going to use the full power of the PS5? Hell, the differences between those two systems are so negligible you have to pause the game to compare the two. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that big. And even when there is differences, it's such a innocuous difference. Like, do I really care if that stream of energy was greener in the PS5? Not really. Stuff like that, right? And I think the only thing that really shows off the power of the PS5 is ray tracing. Ooh, sunbeams.
No one gives a
honestly,
shit about that.
it's not that exciting, right? So if they push it to the Steam Deck, at least comparable to the Steam Deck, they'll probably be put in such a good position to see a lot, and I mean a lot, of ports from a lot of games that they missed out on simply because the Switch was just not powerful enough, but they were not PS4 or PS5 power.
Well, the thing is, if you make it as strong as the Steam Deck, you're not going to get the people from Steam to jump over. They're like, oh my god, it's even powerfuler than my handheld. I want to Switch 2 now. They won't jump.
No.
Because
the people who own the Steam Deck will never move from the Steam Deck.
Well, they like to tinker with it. That's kind of why.
Yeah, they're not. The people who own an actual Steam Deck aren't going to move from the Steam Deck. It's just I don't think that's what people are talking about. I think them getting it to that point allows them to have such more portability to the system that most people who want to play something on the Steam Deck will have the access of it on the Switch too, for them to be like, oh yeah, you know what, I'll just buy it on the Switch too.
Yeah.
Like, just getting into that power is probably the best goalpost for Nintendo to aim for. Because there are some people saying that it needs to be more powerful than the PS5 or Xbox X because the other two systems are already going to plan on the next system. People are already talking about the PS6. Like this is the dumbest, stupidest. Like I swear to God, our industry is really, really stupid. If they're like, wow, the companies are bleeding money, we should make them bleed money faster. They should make a PS7. Skip 6. Let's go straight to PS7. I want 7, 800, and 9 territorial flops or whatever else they're gonna name them. You know, people are already pissed off that games are not, bar none, 120 frames per second. You really think that they're gonna all of its numbers, dude? Like genuinely all of its numbers. But
where are my fucking games,
dude? That's why. Honestly, that's why I kind of just like the Switch. Like most of the games that are fun right now are indies.
Yeah.
And most indies are getting on the Switch. Why not? Like even in indies, like I don't know, being next to Mario feels different than being next to Rayman, or being next to Killzone.
List of Chinese games.
You know,
and list of asset flips. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's. I've talked to a couple of the small indie developers on Twitter and Discord and stuff, and they said like there's something feels magical because there's one guy making a game called Paper Clay, and he goes, "What other system would you like it on?" And people say their systems, and like you can tell that his eyes sparkle when people talk about the Switch because the way he even said it feels different imagining my game next to Mario than it does next to Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
Like, and I think there's a real big reason for that. You know what I mean? Like, not just like, oh, I could probably be in Smash Brothers one day. Like you've seen, Shovel Knight, right? But like being right next to it, and it doesn't even have to be comparable. It's like just being next to it. A lot of games that are more cartoony and more, child friendly, or just overall brighter in color or brighter in like whimsy and stuff like that, tends to sell better on the Switch than on the other systems. The other systems, people want graphical fidelity and explosions and like all this other like stuff that fundamentally, when you remember that game, you don't remember, oh yeah, that foliage right there around the corner on level 2 is just, you could almost eat it, dude. It was just like a salad right there, so delicious. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that.
Yeah.
I have not heard one thing talk about how, like, they talk about the universe as a whole of Elden Ring, or the bosses of Elden Ring, or particular weapons of Elden Ring, but nobody goes, man, those stones look pretty fucking dope.
I just walked in the sand, because how realistic the sand look. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I heard this, like, the way the hooves hit when you run the horse along that rock was just so amazing.
It looks so realistic.
Like, yeah, nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that. That's my point, like, a lot of this fluff will go technically forgotten, so I think Nintendo doesn't have to push that far ahead, and a lot of these people keep like the people who hate on Madden still think that Madden needs to be on the Switch to guarantee that's how the Switch will survive. And like the Switch literally dominated the other two that had Madden for the last 4 years. The other two were out.
Plus, I'm not going to get a bigger battery. I'm not excited because I'm not going to get a bigger.
Well, the more graphics it demands, the more battery life you're not getting.
Yeah, with the upgraded system too. So it's gonna be 4 hours anyways. I'm like, I want 6. Give me 8. 8 is like where it's good, but
watch it just sneaks like at the end of a direct, it just goes 12-hour battery life, and then suddenly just rockets up. Like world peace happens, everything. The Middle East just stops fighting. Like guys, 12-hour battery life on Switch 2, and everybody just celebrates.
Even with like max setting, like I remember the 3DS too. I like how it did it because you get like 6 hours roughly, 6 to 8 hours, and even on standby though, it's 6 to 8 hours. But I'm like, you know what? I'll take that because if you're playing nonstop 6 to 8 hours, like you don't have to worry about battery life. So if it drains it on standby 8 hours, I'll still take it.
Yeah, like honestly, battery life in a better eShop experience. My God, that thing needs to get. I don't know how the Switch's eShop is worse than the Wii U.
I don't know how anybody can. God, I want to just.
If there's anything that everyone can unanimously agree on, But like even the biggest Nintendo fans, I mean people bigger than me, like people who think that like Nintendo should destroy Sony and just buy them just to close them down, type of like vengeance like fans. Even they're like, yeah, that eShop's got to do something. Like
Fix their fucking stores, people.
like holy crap, dude. Oh, like navigating it straightforward, doesn't do anything fancy. Fine. Like the way it works, sure, but how, like the well, no, how it works, the way it works, awful, just genuinely icky.
At the very least, like
awful.
fix your buffer. I would scroll like
4 or 5 games down. And
yeah, and
then
then it's like
2 minutes.
buffering. Yeah, I was like, fuck this, because even PlayStation had that issue too. It's like, fuck this. Fix your fucking stores, people.
All y'all need to use JPEG thumbnails again. Stop with the PNG shit. Like, you guys just mellow out.
The PS3 store originally, that was like where it's at, because you could scroll all the way down and everything just buffers right away. It's like, what the fuck did you guys do? This new store is fucking shit.
Dude, the Wii U had music and it was like running just fine.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell went on? What happened, guys? What happened? I want that back. Even though the Wii U didn't really have many games, that's probably why, but still.
So, yeah, new games suck. Play old games. They're less shit.
Yeah, it basically play indie and old games. That way you can stay happy. But yeah, 30 minutes in talking. We should, or just me ranting. One of the two. It depends on how we talk about this. But I would like to just go ahead and wrap that up here. Thank you all for watching. As always, if you like our content, feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And as always,
we will see you on the other side.
Hey everyone, this is Paraka.
And Ghost.
I would like to say thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and share our video with your friends.
You can also follow and support us on other social media such as Minds and Rumble. Links in the description below.